Right everyone, it is Finn here, and of course welcome back to my channel, where today we're going to be looking at a combined starting 11 made out of footballers who could have represented African footballing nations but chose not to. Now of course in the starting 11 we're going to be looking at footballers who were either born in Africa or their parents were born in Africa. Either way, these footballers at a time were eligible to play for African nations, but for whatever their reasons may be, they chose not to. They chose to represent Spain or France or somewhere out of Africa instead. Now look, Africa have always had some brilliant players over the years. You only have to look at Afcon 2021 to look at that, or just the history of football. We've had some brilliant players coming from Africa, but that doesn't mean that Africa haven't missed out on some brilliant players over the years, and I think you guys will realize that in today's video. So as I said, in today's video we're going to be looking at a combined starting 11 from goalkeepers, defenders, midfielders and attackers. Some brilliant players who could have represented Africa but chose not to. I think you guys understand the video concept by now. I hope you end up enjoying it, and I've just realized how much purple I have going on. Not sure what's going on, but I kind of like the video idea. I kind of like the purple. I think it looks cool. But yeah, jumping straight into the starting 11 of players who could have represented Africa but chose not to. In the goalkeeper position, we've got Steve Mandanda. One of those footballers that, I mean, if you know Steve Mandanda, you just cannot dislike the guy. Was born in the DRC, could have represented the Democratic Republic of Congo, but chose to represent France instead. Of course, played majority of his career in France for Marseille. Obviously, that is where he is the club captain now at 36 years old. And I do want to mention that all of the players in this video are all still playing right now, and this is based on current form at the moment. Otherwise, I would have had players like Patrice Evra in the squad, who is now retired. But as I said, all the players in the squad are still playing. Obviously, as I said, Steve Mandanda could have represented the DRC. I think he would have been their best goalkeeper of all time. Has had an incredible career, but instead was the backup option for the French national team to Hugo Lloris. Although was the second choice option for France, is a World Cup winner. So although not the nation's best of all time, winning a World Cup, I think it kind of balances things out. Moving on ahead to the four defenders in front of Steve Mandanda, we've got the likes of Adama Traore in the right wing-back position. Could have represented the likes of Mali, both of his parents were from Mali, but chose to represent Spain instead, a country in which he was born in. Obviously was given many chances to play for the Mali national team, but really showed interest in waiting until Spain was interested in him. Obviously got that opportunity. He has played 8 appearances for the Spanish national team. Obviously, although I've put him in a right wing-back position here, which he has played in before, has kind of moved higher up the pitch the older he's gotten. Obviously it was in the right wing position, in which he was so incredibly dangerous for Wolverhampton Wanderers in the season in which he helped them qualify for European football in the Premier League. Now, although Adama Traore is not quite getting the numbers that he used to, you cannot deny the quality that a player like him has and that he would have added to African football. In terms of pace, in terms of strength, he's an absolutely brilliant player, and I think he would have done a seriously good job at Afcon 2021 with Mali. I think he would have been an incredible player, but as I said, chose Spain instead. Now looking at the other side of the pitch in the left wing back position, much like Adama Traore is a player who's playing more attacking football nowadays, as it is going to be Bukayo Saka from Arsenal. Could have represented the Nigerian national team, although as I said, put him in a left wing back position, has moved higher up on the pitch and plays as a winger for Arsenal. Now look, I think Nigeria have so much quality in their attacking positions, but I still think Bukayo Saka would have added a lot to it. Only 20 years old, has already made 15 appearances for the England international team, was a huge part to why they reached the final of Euro 2021, their first final since 1966. Unfortunately missed one of the deciding penalties that lost England the final, received a lot of abuse, but once again, one of those footballers I just don't understand how people can hate Bukayo Saka. He seems like one of the nicest guys in world football. Obviously for Arsenal, as I said, has almost reached 80 league appearances at just 20 years old, and this kid will go down in history one day. As I said, unfortunately he won't be going down in the history of African football, but a brilliant player nonetheless. Looking at the two centre-backs that could have represented Africa, we've got the likes of Kimpembe from PSG, and the other centre-back is going to be Rudiger from Chelsea. Two solid centre-back options. Now obviously the likes of Kimpembe could have also represented the DRC, the Democratic Republic of Congo, for those of you who don't know, although I've already mentioned it. But of course Kimpembe Don't think he has too many regrets. Has won a World Cup, has won a Nations League, 2 trophies with the French national team, has won multiple league titles at PSG in the French league where he spent his entire career. Kimpembe has done a really decent job in France, and I don't think he'll have too many regrets. Although I think adding him and Steve Mandanda to the Democratic Republic of Congo, I think that would have been such a solid defensive option for them. It's a pity that they didn't end up getting it. Now, as I said, the other centre-back would have been the likes of Antonio Rudiger, who, as we know, represents the German national team in 2017, won the Confederation Cup with Germany, but could have represented Sierra Leone, a team that is doing a seriously good job at Afcon 2021, drawing with Algeria and drawing with the Ivory Coast at the time of speaking. I think Antonio Rudiger would have only added a different level of solidness at the back, although hasn't won a Premier League with Chelsea, won a Champions League, a Super Cup, a Club World Cup. He is a solid centre-back, and I would argue maybe the best centre-back in the world at the moment by the way he's performing. I mean, he's been linked to the likes of Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, but it looks like he will renew his contract at Chelsea. I mean, you look at Ruben Diaz and Virgil van Dijk. Forget them this season. It's all about Antonio Rudiger. As I said, it's a pity that he didn't choose Sierra Leone because I think he would have been such an incredible option for them and a real difference maker. Now moving on ahead of the defenders to the midfield, I've got 4 players in my midfield. Starting off in the left wing or left mid position, we've got the likes of Ansu Fati. Now once again, if you know football, you've heard this kid's name before. He is dubbed to be the next Lionel Messi, represents the Spanish national team, is only 19 years old and is already the next Barcelona number 10 to carry the same number on your back as Ronaldinho, as Messi, and a bunch of other incredible players. I think that only shows how great Ansu Fati will be. He's already broken numerous records.
English, motherfucker, do you speak it? Yes.
That Lionel Messi has set out. So I think Ansu Fati, once again, just a kid with an incredibly bright future ahead of him. Could have represented the likes of Guinea-Bissau, funnily enough. Once again, a team that is at Afcon 2021. I think he would have added a lot of structure to their attack. But once again, I feel like he's going to have a lot more success for the Spanish national team. But it would have been incredible to see him play for Guinea-Bissau. And he would have been within the same group as Nigeria and Egypt at Afcon, which would have been really entertaining to watch. Looking at the right wing side, we've got the likes of Memphis Depay. Once again, Memphis Depay, you know him. If you watch football, you've definitely heard the name. Obviously, the Barcelona striker or winger, depends where you want to play. Could have played for the Ghana national team or the Ghanaian national team. As we know, Ghana struggling at Afcon 2021, and I think having an attacker like Memphis Depay once again would have added a lot of ability to him. Obviously, as family from Ghana, his parents are from Ghana. I think Memphis Depay, one of the most underrated strikers in the entire world, was an absolute difference maker when he played for Olympique Lyon. Wasn't given enough time at Manchester United, in my opinion. Was brilliant starting his career at PSV. Once again, Memphis Depay, you cannot sleep upon, has been brilliant for the Netherlands, is a record breaker, and you can only imagine the damage that he would have done for Ghana. If you put him up front next to Andre Ayew, that just speaks unstoppable ability in my opinion. Now looking at the 2 central midfielders, midfielder number 1, it is going to be Ngolo Kante. Now it's quite funny, I've said this about 3 or 4 players already, but once again, a player you cannot hate, probably the most likable guy in world football.
Thank you everyone. Thank you for his applause.
Ngolo Kante may be the best defensive midfielder of all time in football, and that is not an understatement. I think a lot of people would agree with me. Won the Premier League with Leicester City in that wonder season, won the Premier League with Chelsea, is a World Cup winner with the French national team, has won Champions Leagues, has won absolutely everything there is to do as a footballer. Ngolo Kante, as I said, in my opinion, the best defensive midfielder of all time, and he could have represented the Mali national team along with Adama Traore, which can you imagine adding the physicality and the pace of Adama Traore with the defensive ability of Ngolo Kante, you're not going to be able to do anything. As I said, Ngolo Kante, in my opinion, best defensive midfielder in the world and is playing for a very strong French national team. But can you imagine if he was playing African football? That definitely would have upped the quality. Now, of course, looking at the next midfielder, I was between 1 or 2 names, but I've gone for the likes of Serge Gnabry, a player who unfortunately failed in the Premier League for Arsenal and West Brom, but has done a brilliant job for Bayern Munich in the 2020 season, helped them win 6 trophies in one season or something stupid like that. Serge Gnabry has definitely showed his quality on the pitch, has been absolutely brilliant for the German national team, has one of the best conversion rates of all time in international football history. He just seems to score every time he puts the German international jersey on, but could have represented the likes of Ivory Coast, which once again, can you just imagine that up front? Sebastian Haller, Nicolas Pepe, Wilfried Zaha, I'm sure there's a bunch of other players that I could mention, Maxwell Cornell, Serge Gnabry if he was there. It just would have been unstoppable in terms of attack. Once again, whether he would have gotten into that starting lineup, I think he would have given Nicolas Pepe a run for his money, but Serge Gnabry, definitely a top quality player that African football is missing out on. That, ladies and gentlemen, takes us to our final 2 up front, the 2 strikers I've gone for. Now, of course, there are some brilliant strikers and wingers. As we know, in African football already, you've got the likes of Vincent, Aboubakar, you've obviously got Mo Salah, Sadio Mane, Riyad, Mahrez. When they're playing an attack, they are difference makers, but we've got some 2 really big names here. Footballer number 1 is going to be Karim Benzema. Obviously represents the French national team, has just made his return to French national football at Euro 2020. Was absolutely brilliant for them, really helped France win the Nations League. As we know, Karim Benzema, one of the deadliest strikers of all time, scoring over 200 goals for Real Madrid. And that's after becoming a legend at Olympique Lyon and winning titles with Olympique Lyon in the French league. Karim Benzema might be the most underrated striker of all time, and he could have represented the Algerian national team, having parents from Algeria, which absolutely mental. Can you imagine Karim Benzema and Riyad Mahrez playing together up front for Algeria? It can only be unstoppable. I think it is such a shame that he's almost overshadowed by players like Robert Lewandowski, because in my opinion, Karim Benzema may be the best striker of our generation. Absolutely brilliant player in his mid-30s now, but you wouldn't be able to tell that. Definitely playing in the prime of his career. And of course, guys, that takes us to our final striker option, and much like Karim Benzema is a striker representing the French national team, it is going to be Kylian Mbappe. Once again, a player who's won pretty much everything there is already in football, and he's only 23 years old, obviously has already won a World Cup, has won a Nations League, was the Golden Boot winner in the Nations League. At 23 years old, he's already won 3 Golden Boots in the French League, won the French League with Monaco before coming to PSG and winning almost every single year. Kylian Mbappe is going to be the next best player in the entire world, and I almost have no doubt about that. In terms of African nations he could have represented, he's got a parent from Cameroon and a parent from Algeria, his mom from Algeria, his father from Cameroon. So he's got 2 options he could have played for, but obviously, as I said, has been wildly successful for France, and I don't think he'll look back whatsoever. But once again, can you imagine Benzema, Mbappe and Mahrez up front for Algeria? That would be an unstoppable force. Obviously, could have played for Cameroon as well. Whether he would have gotten in front of a very informed Vincent Aboubakar at the moment, I guess we would have had to wait and see. But yeah, Kylian Mbappe, once again, could have played African football, one of the best of all time. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is my combined starting 11 of footballers who could have represented African nations, but chose not to. As I said, we've got a lot of top talent that is missing out on African football. As I said, African football at the moment has got a really, really high standard. There are some brilliant players, but obviously from time to time, I do feel like people underestimate how good African football really can be. They underestimate competitions like Afcon, and I feel like if players like this were in this competition, people wouldn't ignore it as much, because I genuinely believe that Africa and African nations have produced some incredible players over the years. But ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have enjoyed this video, and I want you to tell me in the comment section down below which player in my starting 11 would have the biggest impact on their African nation. Would it be Kylian Mbappe for Algeria or Cameroon? Would it be Ngolo Kante for Mali? Who do you guys think would have the biggest impact if they didn't swap international allegiances or if they played for an African country? I'm interested to see what you guys think. But guys, thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you want to see more of my stuff in the future. I'm trying to upload on a more regular basis. I promise I don't speak as fast as this in every single video. My throat kind of hurts, but I didn't want this to be a long video that dragged out. I kind of wanted to get it done and dusted. Didn't want to bore you guys. I'm boiling in the heat. But I hope you have enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new and you want to join the content family, if that's what you want to call it, and do subscribe if you did enjoy the video. As you guys can see, I'm boiling hot. I'm gonna go take a cold shower. Until next time, cheers.